We now have in the studio with us Professor Chukwuemeka Ifegu, AK, who is a professor of digital economy, to give us more insights on the topic of discussion. You're very much welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right, starting with the very first question here, can you tell us more about digital economy and its impact on the overall economy?
Okay. I've had a lot of people ask questions, especially when I bring in the metaverse. What's digital economy? Why are we hyping what doesn't really have an essence? Look at it this way. It's a new frontier to extract wealth simply for mass empowerment, okay? Let me use the known to explain the unknown. Years ago when, let me say centuries or a century or two ago, when our economies were maxed out, so to say, job creation was flattening out. And people like Malthus, he wrote that we should allow misery, we should allow war in order to reduce the population because they couldn't see beyond their nose. The analysis were jammed. Then men like Christopher Columbus discovered the America, then New Wealth, boom. So in today's world, digital economy, which is applying economic principles to the digital world or digital technology as regards society, okay, opens up another world, just like Elon Musk opening up Mars so that we can also extract wealth from there. So that's digital economics.
All right, so how should education and training programs equip the workforce with the necessary skills for the digital economy?
It's a tall one. Now, first of all, I want you to understand something. Just last year, 2023, most of there's this hula baloo that there is no job, there is massive unemployment. The truth is there are jobs and there is employment. And for you to get into that, you must learn, relearn. You must learn, relearn. If you're not ready to learn and relearn, you can't get such jobs. That's the truth. And to get us into your question, as it were, you see, let's go to Finland. Finland is number one when it comes to digital ecospace, digital relevant society. They're number one. The educational system is such that they combine learning with work realities, or let me take it this way, work-based learning. Now, that way, you can actually learn what is relevant for the time. Now, come back to Nigeria. What's our learning mode? The learner or the learner just sits docile, and the person who is delivering knows it all. Now, for us to be able to catch up in today's world, we must turn our educational systems, or we must retool it such that we are learning based on the requirements of today, not the requirements of yesterday. Yeah.
All right, so what's the importance of investing in digital economy infrastructure as a foundation for economic advancement?
Well, the truth is, you see, if you look at history, for instance, history of digital technology, history of the impact of digital technology on society, history of digital economics or digital economy, as it were, you realize that we've had massive increase. Look at Nigeria, 2000. Our FDI in terms of Africa, then the Obasanjo administration was just trying to open up the space. It was just 1%. Now go to 2010, it jumped to 8%. Now just shift furthermore to 2020, just after the COVID-19, it jumped to 18%. Now shift to just last year, it jumped to 23%. In fact, 30%. Okay? Now there's an increase in investment in the space, helping us to realize certain benefits as we have today. Now, let me mention one of the benefits. Well, I do trainings for NC staff, And most times you either use Kano or Lagos or Abuja here. Now, I like to do surveys. And I realized that there's this particular survey that, thankfully, TEDFund sponsored, okay? Realized that between 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, over 90% of those surveyed are not digitally naive. I'll take it again. Between 11 to 15, 16, over 90% of those surveyed, which is statistically significant, are not digitally naive. In other words, they are digitally savvy. They understand gadgets. They understand the import of gadgets. They can use them to their own advantage in society. Now, take a step further. When I realized that between 20, because what happened at TEDFund funded one of the surveys in 2013, and then funded another one last year, 2023, which we've published. So you have a 10-year gap. It's robust enough to make, permit me to use the word again, robust conclusions. And I realized that between 20 and 28 years old, you know that they know about digital currency, they know about cryptocurrency, and 68% of them have transacted in digital currency. So, you see, we have to rethink our education, even as we are rethinking economics, because I've been in this studio some other time, and I said that, look, the world we are so used to, that we are taught in our schools, is simply this physical, tangible world. But actually, there's another world that coexists with this one, and has been since inception, which we are now brandishing the metaverse. The beauty is that today we can extract some wealth from the metaverse. It helps automate this life, makes it easier for us as much as possible. So we must retool our educational system, not only for us to take advantage of what is happening. The investment coming in has also helped us to better understand the digital economy, to better take advantage of it, to help us lessen poverty statistics. Yeah.
All right, so what states in Nigeria are digitally transformed, and how can other states replicate this success?
You see, okay, let me take region by region. You have Northwest. I'll give it to Kano, from our observation. They have North Central, of course, Abuja. They have Northwest. You have Lagos. Then you have Northeast, which is a tie between Enugu and Umuahia. Now, the thing is, these states in this region that I've mentioned have shown robustness in terms of engaging the technology. And the ones that are really engaging in technology are not really those in my generation, so to speak. They are those under 30. In fact, okay, let me be real, those under 25. But those under 45 are trying their best. But those of us above 50, forget it. We are simply just using the traditional world to see how we could understand the digital world, but you can't. The world apart. To a large extent, you see, once we mandate the states, when you mandate organizations, it is sabotaged. History will bear us witness, research publications will bear us witness. The only way the government can do this is to incentivize, create incentives. For instance, online meetings should become priority. Okay. Secondly, reporting online should be priority over paper, right? Secondly, inventory management. There is no organization, there is no business that is not in the business of inventory management. School, hospitals, stores, none. Churches, mosques. There's always an aspect of inventory management. Automate it. Now, once you make this one's priority, okay, you discover that the people, the managers, the operators, the actors, they begin to force themselves to catch up, which takes us back to learn, relearn, learn, relearn, learn, relearn. Yeah.
All right, so you made mention of incentives. So what measures should be taken to ensure that no one is left out of this revolution?
It's a long way, very long way. Okay, I said about reeling out some statistics about Finland, and then some about Africa. Actually, that one on Finland was based on DESI, that is Digital Economic Society, I think, initiative or something. DESI. They run these surveys and then they publish them. Okay. You see, for us to catch up here, I'd like to drop this caveat before I go into that. There are downsides to adapting the technology to our society. It also causes poverty.
Okay.
I know our viewers may not like to hear that. They may be surprised, but it causes poverty. How? You see, if you study this book by, I've forgotten his name, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. I've forgotten the author, okay? If you study that book, he was able to show us certain trends in society, how it affects us negatively. Do you know that buying data impoverishes an average Nigerian? Now, addiction to social media, for instance, which is like an escape from reality, is an addiction, quote unquote. And somebody's ready to starve to buy. That is a sign of impoverishment. Once you're addicted to something and you don't have the means to get it and you go all out to get it, is a problem. And the fact that Nigerians have to practically punish their batteries, because an average battery is not meant to be charged by generator. More so, this a better pass, my generator, or some generators that are less than optimal. It's because that you buy a battery today, in 6 months' time, it's underperforming. You have to buy again. Now, we're impoverishing Nigerians, even as we adapt the technology.
How?
We're creating poverty, just like what I explained.
Okay.
You understand? And you see, data should be free if we want to tell ourselves the truth. Data should be free. Data should be subsidized, not petrol.
Okay.
Data should be subsidized because, coming here from University of Abuja to this place, if you take public transport, you should spend nothing less than 2,000. You should spend nothing less than 2,000. What's 2,000? More than 2,000 to get to your studios. Now, going back, another thing, 2,000. But if I decide to sit in my office and we use Zoom, I spend nothing but data. So I have a choice when it comes to using the traditional transportation mode. But when it comes to data, it's almost next to nothing. So forcing people to use this seemingly interesting technology at a price that is out of this world, because relatively, the price for data in Nigeria is pretty high. And we have the market. I mentioned earlier that when you look at countries that are touted as being digitally surveyed, like Rwanda, I went to Kigali myself. I went to 3 universities, and I realized that in every 10, Nigeria has the highest number of participants in the internet. It's all about packaging. Nigeria has. So for us, I needed to drop this. Even though many of us talk about the fact that the technology brings jobs, the technology brings ease of transaction, the technology helps ensure transparency, there is a dark side to it. There's another dark side to it. The technology is disenfranchising our political elite. Those who control our minds are actually the non-elected entities. The Facebooks, the Twitter owners, those are non-elected entities. And they are the ones controlling the minds of the people. They even tell those who want to be elected what to say, how to say, and for them to be able to position their messaging to a segment of society. That is undemocratic. Anyway, I wanted to drop that for our viewers. Know that this thing also has a dark side. Okay? So let me come back to how we can make other states catch up. The truth is, for us to be able to create this evenness, this equilibrium between all the states in each of the regions, we have to engage. Engage in the sense that there has to be this buzz, there has to be this excitement, there has to be this hyping. You know, once you hype a particular thing, when you make it trendy, you make it trend, T-R-E-N-D, everybody just wants to jump into the wave and get it done. And actually, it is not the government sector that actually have made this technology widespread. Get to know that. It is not the organized private sector. It's actually the unorganized private sector. You and I on the streets. They are the ones that have made this technology mainstream. The government is just catching up. Organized private sector is just catching up. Because if they don't do it, they would lose certain segment of society. Let me tell you something. You see, this issue of fintech, The future of banking is digital banking. But the gatekeepers of the traditional banking system do not want that to happen. But like I mentioned here earlier, their time is up. Their time is up. Their time is up. Very soon, they will lose that turf. Because when you engage in digital banking, you experience ease of transaction. You experience some level of transparency. It's just that an average Nigerian has been so, quote and unquote, mesmerized, threatened to believe that the traditional banks that you can see the branches are much more secure than the ones that are not, you don't see their branches. Now, I want to ask you a question. So the ones that you can see their branches are everywhere and they close down overnight, how many of them have you gone to those closed down branches and demanded your deposit? None. Zero. Okay. The ones that folded up and they gave you NDIC and they gave you CBN, how many times have you picketed NDIC and CBN to get your deposit back? Nada. Zero. None. Let's call it a spade a spade. These traditional banks, most of them do not use cloud technology. CBN still has to knock at their door, right, for them to come in to audit their books. But see these other digital banks, they use cloud technology. They don't need to even visit their branches. They only need to write them. They will give them the key. They will remotely audit these banks. Okay. Don't buy that lie, okay? So to your question, again, if the government wants other states to catch up, make it trend. This organized private sector would also catch up to our culture. We still have pockets in our society that believe that digital technology is not worth the risk. Culture. So we have to take our time to, well, personally, I do outreaches where we take flyers, we talk to certain segments of society about the benefits of digital technology for them to embark on having to even adopt as little as fintech. And I have some crazy statistics about this fintech. Only 37% of our population engage the traditional banking system. 37%. 7, in fact, it's even 39%. Okay. But are you aware that the digital bank, 72.5% use digital bank just for transactions? Okay. Why is this so? We have all our POS feed marshals all over. They swell that particular number. But out of that 72.5% that use this digital bank, 43% of them keep their monies in this digital bank, in spite of the fact that traditional banks try to sponsor this campaign of calumny that do not keep your monies there, because if you keep your monies there, it can disappear. The banks that are bound to disappear on time are the traditional banks, not the digital banks.
So we've been talking about digital economy as it relates to the finance sector. How can we now take advantage of digital transformation, in other sectors like health, agriculture, and, other sectors for economic growth?
Okay, so let's go outside the world of money. Let's go to let me start with one sector that affects an average Nigerian, okay? Prior to the onset of this republic, subsistence agriculture supported well over 78% of the population. Now, starting from 1998 to 2018, and then further down to 2022, you'll be shocked that that percentage has not really changed. And the only way that we can bring in this technology to this particular sector is we have to engage in a lot of subsidizing, okay? For instance, the mango farmer in Boko, he wastes a lot of mango because the road is bad, and secondly, the market is small. So when he brings it, some would rot. By the time he brings from point A to point B, more would rot. By the time he sells off, more would rot. Now, how can we bring this technology in? Now, that mango farmer in Boko may not really have to rely so much on the market he sees tangibly. Can his farm and his produce be made available to the world over, even at a cost that, what we call dumping? I appeared on a sister TV station a couple of years ago and insisted that the Jonathan administration should embark on dumping. They should take dumping as an economic policy. Nobody listened. That's the beautiful thing about a prophet. You will talk, nobody will listen. Leave them. One day they will listen. Dumping is a simple idea where, for instance, of course, in a couple of days' time, farmers in India are going to block Delhi because they are fighting over subsidy. France, all of us know that. US, all of us know that. They are heavily subsidized. We are not against subsidy, quote and unquote. We're saying remove subsidy from the crude oil sector. Take it to other sectors. Okay? So, now, subsidy is needed. For this guy who is in Boko, who has a mango plantation, so to say, can his produce be packaged such that he can market it to the whole world? And can there be a subsidy to him such that he can preserve? Now, once he can preserve, even if he cannot sell to US, because those ones heavily protect their markets, at least he can sell to Cameroon. And for him to sell, he needs refrigerators. For him to sell, first of all, some of them may even come to buy with their own refrigerator. I'm telling you. Now, some of the mango that may waste are still valuable. He can still have somebody who wants to take them to make mango juice or mango puree out of it. But how would they know if they are not aware? That is what the social media is for. You see? So one way is when you make data free, that Mandover in Boko would use his handset and his data is free. Someone will teach, one of these things is free. A lot of people will abuse it. That abuse is good for society. That's what Adam Smith was trying to say. That when man pursues his self-interest, inadvertently he develops society. He will be taught how to market his plantation, his goods. Somebody somewhere will place order for it. Somehow they will locate him, even no matter how bad the road is. He will have, over the years, less and less incidents of loss. That is one simple way that this technology can be brought to bear in the agriculture sector. What about health? See, when we talk about medical tourism, it's not really the poor. When I'm sitting down here, I'm not talking about the rich because they don't merit my time. I'm talking about the average man on the road. Because, see, the thing is that if you want to bring prosperity to a nation, it is not swelling the pocket of the rich. Swell the pocket of the common man. Do everything. Hello, those of you who are gatekeepers in the current president's administration, if you want to bring prosperity to this land, simple, swell the pocket of the poor. 2, cut out middlemen. Technology will help you. Do not be afraid whatsoever. Technology will help you. Let's come to medical tourism. The common man on the street cannot engage in medical tourism. However, he can have access to a doctor's services or a nurse's services, either remotely, not bringing an Indian doctor, but a Nigerian doctor. Now, for instance, we have this PHC, primary healthcare centers. Thank God for the wisdom of Ransom Kuti during Babangida's regime. Look at the history of economic health or health economics. That particular structure can still be encouraged. Bring in digital technology. You can have a particular local attendant who has health technology certificate. Then you can deploy a doctor. Get in there, go into a studio, tell the person the symptoms. He will direct this one on what to touch and then what to do. Before you know it, there is either a diagnosis. There must be a diagnosis. Then from there, you get the drugs. It's only if it gets to surgery. Even surgery can handle some aspect remotely. That is how you can bring that technology to bear. Because once you help people in the hinterland to overcome their medical challenges, you're bringing wealth to them. The only way we can enjoy the benefits of this technology to the full is to consider data subsidy. Data subsidy. Data subsidy.
All right, thank you so much, Professor, for coming to the program today.
Thank you for having me on your program.
We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring you tech tips. Stay with us. Today on Tech Tips, we're giving you some tips to navigate and harness the potential of digital revolution. Continuous learning. Stay updated with the latest technological trends, tools, and best practices through online courses, tutorials, and industry publications. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy, and LinkedIn Learning offer a plethora of courses on various tech topics. Cybersecurity awareness. Protect your digital assets and personal information by practicing good cybersecurity hygiene. Use strong, unique passwords, enable two-factor authentication, keep software and antivirus programs updated, and be cautious of phishing scams and suspicious links. Data management. Understand the importance of data in the digital age and adopt strategies to manage and leverage it effectively. Implement data backup and recovery solutions, maintain data integrity and confidentiality, and utilize analytics tools to derive actionable insights from your data. Cloud computing. Embrace cloud computing services to enhance flexibility, scalability, and accessibility in your operations. Platforms like Amazon Web Services AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud offer a wide range of services for computing, storage, and application development. Remote collaboration. Utilize collaboration tools and platforms to facilitate remote work and teamwork. Applications like Slack, Microsoft Teams, and Zoom enable seamless communication, file sharing, and project management across distributed teams. And that's how we wrap it up today on Tech Talk. You can drop your comments and contributions on all our social media platforms. Don't forget to join in next week, same time, same station, for a fresh edition of the program. My name is Dorcas Yakubzala. Goodbye.